Thanks for listening to this lesson introduction on Daniel chapter 11, the death of the Antichrist. Please have your study guide and a pen handy so you can write some notes in the side margins. First, let's look at the big idea in this lesson, which is this. At the end of the Great Tribulation, God will bring all wickedness to an end, and the Antichrist will be killed. In Daniel chapters 10 through 12, God's fifth vision provides the final information about his countdown to eternity. This chapter is divided into two sections. Verses 1 through 35 record events that are past, and the remainder of the chapter records events that are still in the future. In verses 1 through 35, God reveals amazing details of the first of the two persecutions of the Jewish people. It's easy to get lost in these verses because only the titles of the participants are given: kings of the north, kings of the south, and so on. So why were the actual names of the people not given? When Daniel wrote this prophecy, these people did not exist. They would not exist for another 250 to 300 years. Verses 36 through 45, the part of the chapter that's still to come, is the second part of the fifth vision. These events will occur in the future during the second half of the Great Tribulation, which is also the 70th week of Daniel chapter 9, verse 24 through 27. This brings us back to the big idea in this lesson, which is this. This chapter deals with two persecutions, one in the past and one in the future. In the future, during the Great Tribulation, God will bring all wickedness to an end, and the Antichrist will be killed. Now, if I led this lesson, here is how I would approach it. I would not focus on trying to identify the historical characters in verses 1 through 35. I would simply mention that Middle East history confirms the accuracy of Daniel's prophecy. I'd focus on question 1, question 3a, question 3b, question 6b, and question 8. I would help the group participants try to understand the transition from the first persecution, which is past in verses 1 through 35, to the second future persecution in verses 36 through 45. To help them see this transition, I would read the introduction to question number 9 carefully. I would also remind them that one of the characteristics of apocalyptic literature is chronological gaps, which means that there can be unannounced gaps in time, sometimes even hundreds of years between two successive verses. I would remind them that next week will be the final lesson, and the group will be going through the final exam in 2 weeks. I would avoid saying that we will be reviewing the final exam because it implies that everyone understands the gospel, and we do not want to leave that impression with the group members. Then, in 3 weeks, the group will be hosting an open house, and I would remind the group members to keep inviting new people to join us. Finally, I would encourage each of them to order a new study book on the Lamplighters website. I hope this introduction will enable you to lead in such a way that God is glorified and lives are changed forever into the image of Jesus Christ.